breaking news on WFLA Now. Here's JV Buno.
The lawyer for Gabby Petito's family drops a bombshell allegation on the inner correspondence within the Laundrie family between mother and son, claiming Roberta Laundrie offered a shovel to help her son Brian Laundrie bury Gabby Petito's body. However, the Laundries, they're firing back tonight through their attorney, warning, be careful of what you believe. Good evening to you, folks. JB here with you live on WFLA Now. We are back on live stream this evening, this Friday, December 30th, 2022. Of course, we're about to close out the year 2022, and this live stream pertaining to a story that still so many of you continue to follow, a story that we began this year talking so much about. Gabby Petito, Brian Laundrie, and now a new allegation coming from Gabby Petito's parents' Florida lawyer, Pat Reilly. And we're going to go through this here, but want to let you know that we're hearing from Stephen Bertolino tonight, the attorney representing Brian Laundrie's parents as far as in a New York capacity. Matthew Luca, the attorney now representing them in the state of Florida, and pertaining to this lawsuit, the lawsuit that has been filed on behalf of Gabby Petito's parents against Brian Laundrie's parents, claiming intentional infliction of emotional distress. There are several key variables between the two families when it comes down to this lawsuit and the allegation that Brian Laundrie's parents were aware of Gabby's murder and chose to do nothing and chose not to tell the Petitos and the Schmidts where Gabby's body was located and what in fact had happened. Again, the allegation that they knew soon thereafter the murder had occurred that Brian had murdered Gabby. That is, of course, the allegation really at the core and the center of the lawsuit. We're now over these many months, and we've done many live streams over these many months, learning little nuggets of information. And one nugget that was really a mystery, if you will, is pertaining to this letter that existed between Roberta Laundrie and Brian Laundrie, her son. And we have it confirmed from both sides that this letter does in fact exist, that it is a letter that Brian received from her, or it was a letter that Roberta Laundrie wrote to her son, Brian Laundrie, and the contents of which we were told by Pat Reilly, the attorney for Gabby Petito's parents, the contents of this letter would be shock and awe, would reveal something about the Laundries that, again, is reason for the lawsuit being filed against the Laundries and why Joe Petito and Nicole Schmidt aren't just letting this fade into non-existence, why they continue to proceed against Brian Laundrie's parents. Well, this letter that exists between Brian Laundrie and Roberta Laundrie, we're starting to learn the contents of this letter, or are we? We're going to get more into that here over the course of this live stream. But I'm going to read this letter, or at least a portion of this letter. This is a letter from Pat Reilly. Pat Reilly is the attorney representing Gabby Petito's family. And it's a letter written to Matthew Luca, the Florida attorney for the Laundries. And it talks about the documents that exist at the center of this case and a motion to bring these documents to light. I'm going to read as follows. This is from December 5th of this year, so just about 3 weeks ago. Dear Mr. Luca, this letter is to follow up with you regarding the following outstanding discovery responses in the above referenced matter. While your clients initially objected to the following requests for production, I believe in light of Judge Carroll's ruling on the defendant's motion to dismiss the plaintiff's amended complaint and his recent ruling on the defendant's motion for protective order, there is no limitation on these discovery requests, and thereby your client's objections are not well founded. What is at the center of this, that's the end of the first paragraph, at the center of this are the documents that the FBI released in the aftermath and really at the conclusion of their investigation earlier this year. The attorneys for both sides met with the FBI earlier this year, I believe the month was June, and received several items that had been collected over the course of the investigation. That includes the letter, the confession letter, that is, on the right side of your screen there, the confession that Brian Laundrie wrote, detailing exactly what happened in his final moments with Gabby Petito, and really detailing the reason for the self-inflicted gunshot wound that would claim his life, the reason for his suicide. Another letter, though, that was uncovered that day, or at least received by the Laundrie family, is this letter that we reported on earlier this year from June. It was a letter that was allegedly encased in an envelope that read, "Burn after you read." Now, this, of course, was something that the internet was quite fired up about at the time. And it's hard not to blame people for not wanting information about this story and wanting the answers and the truth once and for all. But when you hear about a letter that is encased in an envelope that says burn after you read, of course, you're going to get a lot of people's attention. But the question I asked him, Pat Reilly, at the time was, what is inside this letter? What is in this letter? What is so important in this letter between Roberta Laundrie given to her son Brian Laundrie that you would write on the cover and really the envelope of that letter, burn after you read? At the time, Pat Reilly was coy and he did not want to divulge the contents of that letter. However, the contents of that letter, according to Reilly, have now been uncovered in a court filing, the court filing that I began reading to you about the discovery of these, or the seeking of the discovery of these documents and the discovery process for these documents coming to light in advance of the depositions, in advance of this lawsuit between Gabby Petito's family and Brian Laundrie's family. I will skip ahead to a later on paragraph in this letter. Again, this is Pat Reilly, the attorney for the Petitos, writing to Matthew Luca there on the right side of your screen for Brian Laundrie's family, Chris and Roberta Laundrie. And I'll read this as follows. Request number 16 is certainly relevant because, again, it goes to the issue of knowledge on the part of your clients of Gabby's passing and the location of her body. This request certainly would also include the note that Roberta Laundrie wrote to Brian Laundrie, which she offered to bring a shovel to help bury the body. This note was released to the custody of Mr. Bertolino on Friday, June 24th, 2022 by the FBI. This letter is sent in a good faith effort to resolve this continuing discovery dispute. If I do not hear from you within 10 days from the date of this letter that you will provide the documents response to the request for the production of documents, I will file a motion to compel and set this matter for hearing. Sincerely, Pat Reilly. Now, this motion that he references at the end of this letter, that is already underway. And so the production of documents motion will be heard in Sarasota County Court in front of Judge Hunter W. Carroll on March 13th at 11 a.m. That is a date that is circled on our calendars. And really at the center of this is the discovery process for the documents. And this document that we are really honed in on this live stream is the document, the burn after you read letter between Roberta Laundrie and Brian Laundrie. I know this is a lot to follow for folks that have been following this story for the last year plus. You're probably able to follow along. I will try to slow things down for those of you who have just maybe you're coming back to this story for the first time since it really became, of course, a massive ordeal for people across the country and around the world about a year ago. So let's go into the responses that we have tonight. Now, I have reached out to Pat Reilly for more context because he and I have had conversations about the contents of this burn after you read letter, and he has not divulged. But now we're getting this through court filings. So I have not heard from him, but I have heard from Steve Bertolino, who might be watching this live stream right now. Steve Bertolino, the Islip, New York attorney representing the Laundries scene there on the right side of your screen. And of course, I reached out to him as soon as I found this court filing, and I wanted some more details from him pertaining to this letter. And so I wrote to him, seeking comment in essence, and he responded, Attorney Reilly and his clients are entitled to allege what they want in court filings, but their allegations are not based in fact, but on conjecture only. The letter in question was written prior to Brian and Gabby leaving Florida and has nothing to do with this case. Attorney Reilly is trying to further sensationalize this tragedy to bolster his case by taking unrelated comments out of context. Now, Bertolino and I had several text messages, and we'll go through those text messages here in just a moment. But the big thing I want to point out is that Stephen Bertolino, the attorney for the Laundries, is claiming that this letter, he's not denying the letter's existence. In fact, in a later text, he would confirm its existence and say that the contents are between mother and son, Roberta and Brian Laundrie. However, as far as the contents of this letter, Pat Reilly is claiming that this is a letter about shovels and the burying of a body. And Bertolino is claiming that the letter in question was written prior to Brian and Gabby leaving Florida. So why a letter would exist from mother to son, talking about a shovel and talking about the burying of a body, and it would be beforehand, is very peculiar, to say the least. Why that letter would exist. I make note to Bertolino in my texts. It's not very common for that type of correspondence to exist between a mother and a son, let alone a letter to be written altogether. Letters these days are rare in and of themselves. When was the last time you received or wrote a letter to or from your son? It's still the year is 2022, and most of the correspondence that we have, even between loved ones, is usually via text message or email or in person. However, this is a handwritten letter, or as we understand, I do not know if it's handwritten. I don't want to misspeak, but we understand it's a letter that exists between mother and son. So why would that letter exist before Brian and Gabby's trip is curious in and of itself. I respond to Bertolino by saying, can you share the letter with me so that I can report on it accurately? He responds, I have the letter in question, but its contents are personal between a mother and a son. The letter has nothing to do with this case. Think it through. Do you really think such a sentiment would be casually let go by the FBI if what Pat Reilly wants you to think were true? It's sensationalism to bolster his case, and you're playing right into it. Text from Stephen Bertolino, again, this Friday, December 30th. Now, this, of course, has been reported on by other outlets as well. I do not know if the correspondence between Bertolino and others is the same. I, of course, have been reporting on this story from day one and will continue to do so. So I do not know the exact contents of the letter, and there has been nothing that I can report to verify the date in which it is written, because Bertolino is claiming that the letter predates the trip, the cross-country trip between with Brian and Gabby. So he does bring up a very good point, however. He says, do you really think such a sentiment would be casually let go by the FBI if what Pat Reilly wants you to think were true? So if there is this letter that references a shovel and burying Gabby's body, what Bertolino is saying is, isn't that enough? Why would the FBI just let that go? Why would the FBI treat that as just personal correspondence between mother and son and release that back to his clients, the Laundries? It is a very good question. Now, if the letter does in fact make a direct reference to a shovel and a body and burying of a body, it might not have the level of specifics necessary for the FBI to proceed with charges. Again, we don't know the exact contents of this letter, and Bertolino is saying that it predates the trip. All we know is, again, I'm going to read it here from the document, and the document reads, this request would certainly also include the note that Roberta Laundrie wrote to Brian Laundrie, which she offered to bring a shovel to help bury the body. I then continued to talk with Steve about the current status of the letter, because this letter is now at the center of a lawsuit. And where this letter is of course important, A, to make sure it hasn't been destroyed, and B, to make sure that it's been taken care of. And he says, the FBI gave it to me and I still have it. Don't get caught up in the hype. I respond, if the letter makes specific reference to a shovel and a body, as Pat Reilly claims, that's noteworthy correspondence given the circumstances. Not sure you, me, or the average mom writes to their children about shovels and bodies. He responds, context is everything. And then I invited him to come on this live stream tonight. I said, would you like to come on and provide a defense for your clients in this regard? You have an open invitation. He says, maybe someday when the lawsuits are resolved, and he wished me a happy new year. So Stephen Bertolino declining our request to come on and explain this a little bit more thoroughly. But look, if there is this specific mention, we don't have this letter. We are going based off of Pat Reilly. We're going based off of his claim that, his claim of the contents of this letter. but he is claiming that this letter makes specific reference to a shovel, to a body, and burying a body, and it's from Roberta Laundrie to her son. So I, again, gave the opportunity for Mr. Bertolino to come on tonight. I have tried to reach out to Pat Reilly. This is a very difficult time of year to get a hold of anybody. So just the fact that we were able to get through to Mr. Bertolino, given that it's the night before New Year's Eve, I think that is, I appreciate him being able to get back to us and provide us with some comment. We have not yet heard from Pat Reilly, at least in advance of this live stream. Pat might be watching. If you are, Pat, if there's others watching connected to this story, my phone is on. Feel free to text me. I am trying to just get to the bottom of this and also just report this as accurately as possible. But the burn after you read this letter has been an object of fascination online, people wanting to know what was inside of it. And there's a chance that there's more to it that we still don't know at this time. You see there, we have the snapshots of the notebook where Brian Laundrie wrote his confession and what, in his words, happened to Gabby Petito, and a little bit as to what was going on inside of his mind before he ended his life with a self-inflicted gunshot wound in Myakkahatchee in the Carlton Reserve. However, the contents of the letter, the burn after you read letter, snapshots of it. I even asked Bertolino for a transcription just so that we can report on it accurately. All we have is this claim by Petito and Schmidt attorney Pat Reilly. You can read more on this story right now by clicking on the link in the description on this video. It'll take you over to my report on WFLA.com, the WFLA app.